I saw this about the Internet new lawyer on Piers Morgan. This was it.
Okay, so we're going to react to a couple things here. So we reacted a little bit ago to more serious
More reactions.
kind of analysis of Andrew Tate and his appeal getting denied and all that stuff. So his
Haven't
lawyer
watched
was
the
on
Piers
Piers
Morgan
Morgan.
one.
We're going to talk about that. But let's talk
We'll see
about
here then.
the incel known as Dylan Madden. Bruce, who acts as if he's 100% fact-based, has been exposed. The video he used as source against Andrew Tate was deceptively edited to push a narrative.
Deceptively
What's my
narrative.
narrative? What's my that he's self-snitched? That he did this?
No.
I mean, there's nothing I said in my
There's
video that
help
wasn't true.
there as well.
And if you don't believe I'm a lawyer, go to www.riverslawyers.com and call me up. My telephone number is 612-339-3939. Call me up. You can find out that I'm a real lawyer.
Okay.
I try real cases, and I kick some real ass. Dylan. Anyway, I'm not going to stew much,
People are going
but
to
this is
throw
kind of
like
funny.
this.
We're gonna react. I haven't seen this. Piers Morgan. Sometimes I think he's effective. Sometimes I think he's a tool. But it doesn't matter what I think. Let's hear what his lawyer had to say.
His brother Tristan are being held as part of an investigation into rape and human trafficking. Well, speaking outside court, Andrew Tate said he's done nothing wrong.
Now remember, as he's walking out of there, that's like December 29th or something like that. A few days later, guess what? His Bugatti is begone.
Seizing on the car.
I'm innocent. He hasn't even charged the
Innocent.
person.
Well, the pack is still with
Interesting.
me. Plus, joining me now is the lawyer for the Tate brothers, Tina Glandin, who is in Romania. Well, welcome to you.
Now Tina
she's
Glandon
a
is,
lawyer.
she got her chops, as it were, representing Mike Tyson and
Chris Brown.
Chris Brown. We know how those came out. But let's see what she has to say.
I really appreciate you joining me. Where are we with this case? It seems that
Hi,
every
Piers.
now and again this pops up back on television with them being remanded for further time. How long can that process continue before a charging decision is made?
Hey, Piers, what color's your Bugatti?
Under Romanian law, they have up to 180 days, which is in 30-day increments. So every time there's a 30-day decision order, they're allowed to renew their request and have it extended for an additional 30 days. But
All right, that's something I didn't know. So every 30 days, they get, it's for up to 180 days, so 6 months.
Up to 6
But
months.
it's got to be reviewed every 30 days.
to exceed 180 days.
Okay, you've taken on this case.
This in
Andrew
Romania
Tate has been
particularly.
repeatedly bellowing
And she was added to his team, and I told you that he was going to either add or change lawyers.
his innocence as he's been led in and out of these court hearings and so on. Do you believe them? Do you believe that he and his brother are innocent?
Believe.
At this point, Piers, they've had this investigation going since April. We're now February, and there are not even charges filed against them. So this is a huge injustice the way we see it. They should not be
Of course he's
detained
going
at
to
this
say
point.
she
We think it's
believe it.
now crossed over to the point where
Yes,
it's
yes.
violating
Lawyer.
international human rights law.
So she actually has a point there. They haven't been detained since April, so the investigation itself can go on for whatever length. But they've been detained for almost 60 days now, right? And so remember what I told you in our system, within 36 hours you have to see a judge, 36 to 48 hours, depending upon where you are. And you're entitled to bail. You're entitled to know what you're accused of. And I kind of agree with her on this.
Because the deprivation of your liberty pre-trial is the most severe form of punishment a state can impose. And that's what they've done in this case. And they've had a very lengthy investigation with the government's resources. They've been analyzing and looking at all of their devices since April when they seized everything.
Now, it would be a real travesty of justice. Let's say for the sake of argument that they don't find anything and then he's never charged with a crime. He'll be bigger than ever. Bigger than ever, because he will be this martyr against the Matrix, right?
The
Matrix.
martyr.
So the Matrix is out to get everybody.
And here we are, February, and charges aren't filed. So I think there's absolutely no evidence that's been presented. And
Part of that's not true. There's some evidence that's been presented to the court.
that's our position.
What is, I mean, how are your clients at the moment? How is Andrew Tate dealing with incarceration? I mean, I interviewed him just before Christmas. We had a long, wide-ranging interview.
Yes.
And once again, I was struck by the phenomenal following that he has online, particularly with young men. You know,
We know you guys are following, and you're watching me too. Not all of you, but here's the thing: I don't really have it out for Andrew Tate. I think he's a little tasteless. You know, he could be a little
Tasteless.
more, I don't know, a little less bravado. And I'm not jealous of him. I mean, I like who I am, but I also don't like injustice. So even if he's guilty of everything he said, if they can't prove it, he shouldn't be dealing with it.
how is he faring right now, given that at the moment he's in this limbo land of no charging but being held in incarceration?
The brothers are both very strong, they're resilient, and they're holding up, but obviously the conditions are not good. They're in a Romanian jail cell, and they've been detained for a very lengthy period at this point. They have limited access to their attorneys. It's not a good condition for
certain
them.
compartment to
You've
the
obviously represented a
And
lot of
as
people.
far as
Sorry, please finish.
I was gonna say, to your second point, they're controversial public figures, but that's not a crime. And at this point, we have not been provided any proof that they've committed any crimes, nor have they even been charged. So I would ask that people presume them innocent as they are.
And that's a good point. That's a fair point. You're always innocent until proven guilty.
stay neutral again.
And I don't like the fact that they've been held without charging for 60 days. I mean, that's a little disconcerting.
Do they feel that they are being tried in the court of public opinion?
I think the public is divided, as you know. I think they have a big following, but at the end of the day, yes, I think there is a lot of information in the public. I think there's a lot of false allegations in the public. I think some evidence has now been put forth. Again, I don't want to comment too much on the facts of the case since there is an ongoing criminal investigation. However, I think there has been evidence put out, videos and other statements for the public to see what the supposed state of the evidence actually.
Now, actually, I kind of like the way she's presenting this. She's presentable. She doesn't come off as boisterous, and she comes off as very factual and knowledgeable and a strident advocate for her client. So this is an example of a really good lawyer.
He's continued to tweet. Is he doing that himself? Has he got people doing that for him? And how do you feel from a legal point of view? Is it a wise tactic to continue to do that on social media when you're being held in custody by the Romanian authorities?
Well, again, he doesn't have access, so he's not doing anything directly. And what's being put out is on his accounts. And I'm not going to speak as to, the source of the.
She's not going to speak to the source. You know why? She's not going to, because anything that's out there can be used against him. So if she attributes those words to Andrew Tate, well, they can use it against him.
Posts and what's being put out, but I think, again, as of now, he's not charged with anything, and he's free to comment.
I know that they seized nearly £3.5 million in cash, 11 luxury sports cars, guns, and other weapons.
Actually, they were taking another 5 vehicles. I think they've 15 or 16 vehicles, and almost $4 million in cash.
Already, the things that have been seized from the property, are they in themselves acts of law breaking, just the possession of any of these things?
So on that note, if I'm running a criminal organization and I buy a Rolls Royce and I buy it with the proceeds from that criminal organization, that Rolls Royce is now product of ill-gotten gains. So that can go bye-bye. Otherwise, profitable.
Again, this is the most severe form of punishment. I don't think it's justified under these circumstances where the prosecution hasn't set forth enough evidence to charge them, and yet they are detained, and it's...
One of the dangers in making statements like this is that you can wind up eating your words. So, this has been an ongoing investigation. They would have charged him by now. These are not easy charges to present. They're complicated.
But you do accept, of course, that if the women who've come forward here as part of the investigation, if they're telling the truth, these are very serious allegations against your clients,
Is she
which
going to
could
say
lead
no
to
comment?
charging, and if it led to charging, could lead potentially to long prison sentences if found guilty.
Certainly the crimes at issue are very serious crimes, and I think Pierce, actually, it was on your show when you interviewed Tate several months ago. He made very strong statements about his position on rape, and he condemned rape.
He may have
Yes,
condemned rape,
but
but he
coming.
said in his own videos, I mean, he's made different statements at other times that totally contradict this very public thing that he said.
He said it was disgusting, I'm pretty sure the word he used, and he said he thought that somebody who does that deserves the death penalty. So there's no question that...
You know, I remember
Death penalty,
seeing
yeah.
this guy was convicted, and he said, I didn't do this. And the judge said, well, you didn't do this, but the person who did do this, what do you think that person should get?
There.
And he looked at the judge, well, he should get life in prison or whatever he said. And the judge gave him exactly what he said.
Okay.
So when you say that kind of thing, you
Well,
can eat your own words.
These
Could
are
come back
serious
to him.
charges, and even in his own words, they're very serious charges. There just isn't any evidence that they committed these crimes.
But you know, we've also had
All right,
Okay,
that's not true.
evidence.
You got his own admission, and then you have these statements from these women. That's going to be questioned. You know, that obviously they're going to be cross-examined. You're going to have other women. I guarantee you, he's going to have
you're going
women
to have
supporters.
evidence to
They're going to
so-
come and testify on his behalf.
There have been various tapes have surfaced in part of media investigations in the last few weeks, including Andrew Tate talking about rape to a woman in a pretty unsavory manner.
Probably
So,
say you will
what would-
be paid or something.
First of all, he said tapes. Can I just tell you something? There's no fucking tape anymore. They're recordings. And these were WhatsApp recordings. There's no tape anymore. Nobody uses tape.
Okay.
Do I use tape? Do you
Well,
use
man.
tape? No. And people talk about tape recordings. It's just a pet peeve of mine.
First of all, I think the authenticity of anything that is presented through the media as opposed to turned over.
Authenticity of it. So first, attack that it's not the real message. I've seen so many incels talk about this is this is
Okay.
doctored. We've analyzed the voice recording and it's just not accurate. Come on.
Or to talk to people's desires or fetishes, but certainly somebody could easily set someone up by saying they have certain fantasies, they want certain things done to them or said to them, and so there's a lot that goes into. You can't.
She's being an effective advocate here. And
Saying
she has to bat
that
this away.
doesn't say
that's her
anything.
position, right? So of course she's going to bat this away, and I think she's doing a fantastic job, actually.
We have to keep in mind also the judge's reasoning for all this. They explained on the 20th of January that they viewed the particular dangerousness of the defendants and their capacity to identify victims with increased vulnerability in search of better life opportunity. At the moment, there have been no charges against your clients. And until or if that point
Correct.
arrives, we're in a world of allegation, not actual charges.
Correct. And right now, exactly, there's a presumption of innocence that every accused has, and that attaches from the time you're even charged. And here, we're not even there. They haven't even charged them with crimes. So any sort of comments as to their alleged dangerousness, there's no...
And I do have a problem with them, being held as long as they've been held without charges. And I can't believe they can be held up to 180 days. That does have an unsavory feel to it.
There's no evidence of that. There isn't even a presumption of that. They need to be presumed innocent, and that hasn't happened in this case. There's really a lack of evidence, and they are being detained unlawfully at this point.
Well, that's not true. They are being detained lawfully, but
Unlawfully,
by
yeah.
Romanian law. So they are following Romanian law, but by an international standard. That's probably what she's talking about. And I do agree with her. I mean, I don't care if it's Andrew Tate or I don't care if it's Charles Manson. I don't care if it's Steve Bashakis. You cannot be held, without charging like this. I mean, it's just not the way the Western world does it. It's the way maybe Russia does it. But so anyway, so this is our reaction to Andrew Tate's lawyer talking to Piers Morgan. And we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts.
Yeah, it's ending, I guess.
Remember, I am a real lawyer, Dylan. Dylan, you should listen to my intro and the outro. You might be caught in between somewhere. I
This
am a
Thailand
real
guy, one guy ending.
God-fearing lawyer, and I got the chops to prove it.
I guess I'll be done a bit. This is a further update, I guess.